Why does God allow children to suffer? Part 2. In the first part of this video series, I looked at what atheists believe about suffering and actually how that is worse than what Christians believe. Because atheists basically say it's just survival of the fittest, tough luck, mate. But you know, the Bible teaches suffering came because Adam and Eve, those first human beings that God created, they were perfect, they were pure. I can't even begin to imagine what that's like, because I know that the world around us is a mess. But for them, it was glorious, and God looked and said it was very good. But then Adam and Eve kind of messed up. God said to them, look, I want it to stay this way, but if you make choices and you ignore me, if you rebel against me, there's going to be a consequence. And they flipping well went and did it and messed the world up. And that brought all these natural disasters into the world. That brought a curse onto this planet, and it brought sickness and decay and death. But I can't sit here on a comfy sofa and say, it's all Adam and Eve's fault. Because I know in my life, I've had times where people have given me a warning. I've said, look, be careful, Tim. If you do this or you do that, there's going to be a consequence. And then I go ahead and do it anyway. And then it's just an absolute disaster. So I can understand biblically why suffering has come into the world, as opposed to an atheist who has no reason where suffering comes from. It's just, that's the way it is. Tough luck, mate. But also the Bible teaches that this life is just like a mist. It's gone so quickly. What really counts is eternity. Being with God in paradise with no more pain or suffering, no more tears, forever. I know for friends who've been in real hard suffering, that's something they can look forward to with joy, with peace, with happiness, with a hope for their future. I think for me as a Christian, that question of childhood suffering is really difficult. It's not something you can just say, okay, no problem. It's easy. It's hard to get your head around, but you have a choice. You need to make a choice about childhood cancer, about childhood illnesses and suffering. You either choose to say, right, there is no God, and as a result, life is completely meaningless, and if you're suffering, tough luck, mate, because there's no purpose. Or you choose to cling to God, like someone who's fallen out of a boat and who's drowning and clings on to that life-saving device. That's what you do when you say, God, I don't really understand what's going on, why this is happening, but I choose to trust you because you are good, because you are loving. And actually, in the midst of all your pain, God wants to be there. So maybe for you, it's time you actually thought through your position. Don't just comment on my posts, oh, childhood cancer, game over. Actually think through your position. Because if you think that as an atheist, you're effectively saying to those kids, your life has no meaning and purpose, your suffering has no purpose. Maybe it's time to look at the alternative, that actually there is a God who loves us and wants to be there with us in the midst of our pain and suffering.